So I have this framework I teach in the book called the 10-80-10 rule. The 10-80-10 rule, I saw Steve Jobs do this, Gary Vee do this. And honestly, most massive creators at scale, Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast talks about this, is they'll be involved in the first 10%, the ideation, the creative, and then they'll hand it off to a team that executes. And then at the very end, they'll come back for the integration. So what I do and what a lot of people do is I resolve to be the talent. And by design, in my company where I am the talent, that is my role. I have a general manager that runs that company. So I don't do one-on-ones. I don't do strategic planning. I don't manage finance. You know what I mean?
With the whole team. You're just talent.
I am literally talent. When I wake up, the team says, I need this from you, this from you, this from you. I negotiate. And then I try to figure out, like, do you really need me to do that part?
Negotiate your time.
100%. And then also, like, hey, we've got revenue. Can you spend some, invest some to go get 80% of this project done that I'm not going to do? So for example, a lot of the creative projects, we have like writers that help us with it, that come with the ideation, that go research all the videos I might have done, and they present the solutions.
Right.
So it's really about just looking at your calendar and saying, okay, I want to be the person on camera. That's the thing I can't until AI and maybe Neuralink or whatever gets good enough. I'm doing that. But anything that isn't that, I'm not doing it. So create a forcing function, a decision to say, I'm the talent team. You guys want to grow the revenue. Try to come up with ideas that don't require more of my time.
Right.
So that's the puzzle.
That's big.
That's the question
you
gotta ask.
But then you got to figure out how to hire the right people and then people, all that stuff.
That's the business stuff.
That's challenging.
Yeah. No, and that's why I talk about in the book, test first hiring method. Like,
what's that?
So the test first hiring method is the idea that, I got this from Seth Godin. A long time ago, Clay Bear, he introduced me to Seth. I'm in New York and we go to his favorite ice cream place. That was when I was doing Clarity.fm. And I was just so excited to meet the legend marketer, Seth Godin. And we're talking about Clarity, which is a marketplace for entrepreneurs to get paid over the phone. And that was cool. It was like kind of LinkedIn had a call button. But in our conversation with Seth, we were talking about people and talent because we had just raised a bunch of capital and we're hiring. And he goes, yeah, I have a rule. I can't work with you until I work with you. And I said, what does that mean? And he was just like, he was ready to move on. I was like, I can't move on. What does that mean? And he essentially says, before I work with anybody, I do a project with them. And I'm like, I don't do that. And that was a big aha. And I said, tell me more. And he tells me about the whole process. So over the years, I've developed kind of a 3-part way of how I hire. And the first part is people have to submit a video answering questions that are very clear, and they have to figure out how they upload the video to give me the video. And why do I do that? Well, first off, I want to make sure they can read the instructions and they can shoot a video and talk to a camera, which is really important from a communication point of view. And they can they're advanced because we're doing distributed teams. I don't have time to teach you how to use Google Docs, right? So can you record a video and upload it and get a link and then put it in the submission for the application? So that's step 1. Step 2, we do a profile assessment. So a lot of people hire folks and they're like, man, this person just isn't, like, the lights aren't on. You're talking to them, it's like,
what's going on?
Did you hear what I said? Turns out you can test for a lot of this. Cognitive intelligence. Yeah. So we have a profile assessment that not only does it do their kind of the cognitive side, it also does just their default behaviors. See, I think
their personality style too.
Dude, it's all that, because the best hire is somebody that selfishly has a desire to be better at the thing you hired them for. My favorite question is to ask somebody, in 5 years, we can't be working together. You wake up and you're living your dream life. What does that look like? And they explain to you exactly what they want to do is what you need them to become in your company. Game on.
Right.
So that's step 2. Step 3 is the test project. Here's what's different about the way I do test projects. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, we do test projects. No, we simulate. So whatever the role they're going to do is what they do for the test project. So I just hired a CEO to run one of my companies. His test project amongst the 4 other candidates was to create a 90-day plan. Because that's the first thing, you know what I mean? So whatever they're going to do when they start working for you is 100% what the project should be. And that's why it's called the test first hiring method. So before somebody ever gets to the end, the other rule I have is I always have to have 3 really good candidates, which it sounds like a lot of work. And it is. but the chances of you not hiring somebody that can hit the ground running and add a lot of value to your business is it's limited.
What happens when you hire fast and you don't have 3 potential candidates to make a decision from?
It happens sometimes, especially if it's like a key role, a specialized role. I mean, we'll look for it and just manage the expectations. The big thing that we do that's quite different is we document everything. So if the person comes in and they don't pan out, at least we have a process so we're not left hanging.
Sure.
But it's never usually a good, and it also, think about what it communicates to the person that you're hiring, right? If they go through this process, they're thinking to themselves, I'm joining a killer team.
Right.
So like a lot of times, really senior director level above hires we're making, they're so impressed with their process that they almost want to come work for us as they're going through it, because they're thinking, if I had to go through this,
right,
imagine the other people I get to work with.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's the business part is always interesting, because yes, you have to figure out how to be the talent, but then it's always about the people. I think we build the people build the business.
Exactly.
Right? So our job, and I call it teach, not tell. So this is you're going to love this. So when I have people that work for me, I don't tell them what to do. If I see something they're doing wrong, I write it down, I create a training, I teach it, and now I have a standard. So essentially when I'm coaching people and they say, my team's not figuring it out, or they're too slow, or I don't feel like the risk takers, I hear it all. I go, cool, make a list. What's on your list? And they're like, well, they don't collaborate in meetings, or they don't take notes in meetings, or they're slow on email replies, or whatever it is. Make a list, all of them, 13, 14 complaints about their team. I say, cool. Now show me where you've done a training on how those things should be done right. Well, I don't.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right. Or maybe they say, well, I told them one time or twice, but
No.
Yeah.
Not tell.
You have to show them.
Teach.
You have to teach.
You need to show me where there's a video that if I watch that video and I follow what you told me are the 5 ways that I need to collaborate in a meeting, that when I show up in a meeting and I don't do it, you pull out that video and say, hey, you remember this video you watched? Let's talk about the way you showed up in that last meeting.
Right.
And see, what's cool about that is just so simple, is great leaders, and you know this, look at the people they've led. To the degree those people have developed and grown, that says, if you look at any organization that's performing, I will show you a world-class leader. It's impossible for you, Boy Scouts, organization, businesses, media companies. If you point to this company's doing awesome, I will introduce you to a world-class leader.
Right.
And that leader is really good at developing people.
Wow.